In a futuristic world devastated by pollution, humanity faces near-complete annihilation. The Treasures of Rudra counts down the last 15 days prior to the end of civilization by following the journeys of 4 chosen heroes and their combined efforts to thwart destiny. Scion is the skilled and ambitious soldier who longs to become his kingdom's knight's captain. Serlant is the apprentice scholar, sent by his master to research ancient relics which foretell the coming end of days. Riza is a compassionate priestess on a pilgrimage to cleanse the world of pollution, and Dune is the reckless treasure hunter who, mostly gets in everyone's way and provides a little comic relief. And no RPG would be complete without an eclectic supporting cast. The friends and allies that join your parties, even temporarily, are oftentimes more colorful and more engaging than the lead players. However, the main characters, their memorable companions, and their fantastic adventures provide an engaging vehicle for Squaresoft's symbolic allegory about the importance of preserving the planet and respecting the natural order of life. Rudra is hands down Square's most ambitious classic release, with a visual style that rivals that of the Super Nintendo's best-looking titles. The storyline revolves around the unique perspectives of Scion, Serlant, and Riza, who the players control in 3 individual full-length scenarios. Afterwards, heroes will join Dune for the epilogue, which wraps up the story with the climactic end-boss showdown. Square was able to incorporate a massive amount of content into the adventure by liberally recycling dungeons and towns. After all, it only makes sense. The 3 parties are exploring a single world simultaneously. This could have been painfully redundant, but instead comes off as really quite clever. The writers maximize the game's geography by designing 3 connected realms. Players will travel back and forth frequently between the kingdom on land, the floating islands in the sky, and the subterranean netherworld. And many locations within these areas will change depending on the party exploring them. One group encounters a seaside cave while the tide's out. In another adventure, a different party revisits the same cave, but the rising water level has altered the layout entirely. The flip side to this technique is, while Square was able to cram a truly epic experience into a single cartridge, the script is essentially 3 games long, making Rudra an expensive and very unlikely candidate for an official localization. Not to mention that the US market had already moved on to the PlayStation, and the development for Final Fantasy VII was in full swing come the game's Japanese release on April of '96. Much like Sega's Shining Force 3, which used a similar storytelling technique and was divided into 3 separate games nearly 2 years later, the 3 parties will cross paths frequently. These moments serve as a wonderful timestamp to gauge the progression of the adventurers in relation to one another. Useful whether you prefer sticking to playing through each scenario uninterrupted, or jumping between the 3 as the days count down. There's no wrong approach, but each has its own disadvantages. If you insist on completing an entire adventure before moving on to the next, it's easy to lose your momentum. After all, there's something disheartening about completing a game only to realize you have to do it all over again. Twice. But jumping back and forth can get confusing. I found myself consulting a walkthrough more than a few times, just trying to remember where I had parked my characters and what my current objective was. But I realized this was entirely my own fault, as Rudra is designed around the lost art of game journaling. You would be wise to jot down objectives, chest locations, and magic words while you play. Speaking of, Rudra features the most innovative magic system I've encountered in any video game before or since. Root words represent basic magical effects, like elemental damage, health restoration, attribute buffs, standard JRPG stuff. The words, or mantras as the game calls them, are modified by adding prefixes and suffixes. For example, Lef is a low-level healing spell that only affects a single character, but Lef Lus is a much more potent version of the same spell, while Lef Na heals the entire party. Now, I realize this is sounding like every Dragon Quest game in existence, but that's not the unusual feature of Rudra's magic system. The party carries around a grimoire, otherwise known as a book of spells, which the player can edit freely. Some canon mantras are revealed in NPC conversations, while others are found in chests or books. But the player can also copy down enemy magic or even make up their own. Literally any word or nonsensical gibberish written down in the grimoire can be used for something. Being incredibly immature, I had a lot of fun abusing this feature, and finding the right spell really sped up story progression and grinding. I just had to stock up on a ton of MP restoration items. By far, though, my favorite aspect about the game is how it utilizes its parallel narratives. Throughout the story, you will witness key scenes played out from 3 different vantage points. The sequence in which you view these will depend, obviously, on the order in which you complete your adventures. Many times I found myself viewing the effects of a dramatic event long before I discovered the cause. This excellent use of foreshadowing adds an element of excited anticipation absent from other games. Much like a well-structured book, you will frequently have a good idea of the consequences of the characters' choices before they've even had a chance to make them. So, bottom line, if you're looking to lose yourself in a new classic RPG, I urge you to try the Treasures of Rudra. It's both a great choice for Square fans on the lookout for that next Final Fantasy VI or Chrono Trigger, as well as for gamers who simply appreciate director Akitoshi Kawazawa's signature saga style of storytelling. But just make sure you clear your schedule in advance. You'll want to set aside plenty of time for this behemoth of a game. But before I wrap this up, let me just say, thank you for all your support. And if you know someone looking for a good RPG, maybe share this video. You never know, you might just turn a friend onto a new favorite adventure. Daria out.